Welcome to Tails and I's little yoga session for this morning. I have arranged a series that's based off of a class that I took for a season of time. And so this morning we will be flowing through multiple two-sided poses, and I will offer several different pieces of guidance along the way, and hopefully be able to build off this class over the next little bit of time. But wherever you are, go ahead and find yourself a comfortable position. Maybe that's a comfortable seat, maybe it's lying down. I like to start my practices just with a couple minutes of opening breath work, just to kind of ground us and get us here and get us all to the same space and time as far as focusing on our breath for about 45-50 minutes together. So wherever you are, find yourself a comfortable position, and we'll spend about 5 minutes just breathing. And today's breath practice that I want us to try out is a 3-part breath that we've used a couple times before, but today's 3-part breath will be focused on breathing in through your nose, filling up your chest, and filling up your belly. And so thinking of your breath as 3 different parts as we inhale and exhale. And so go ahead and begin to breathe in this way without necessarily asking your breath to expand anymore or deepen anymore. Just begin to notice what it feels like to inhale through your nose, and imagine that your breath is inhaling into your chest, and then inhale and fill up your belly. And as you do that, over the next couple breaths, imagine that you would like to inflate your belly a little bit more. And so begin to deepen your breath in that way. Inhaling through your nostrils, imagining that that's filling up your chest area, filling up your lungs, and then breathing down so that you can imagine that it's also filling up your belly. And if you'd like to add a layer to this, you might want to add a color to it. You can add the visualization of filling yourself with your favorite color. So I would fill myself with a bright turquoise through my nose, into my chest, my heart space area, into my belly. And then once you're full, just take a brief pause at the top of that. Sip in a little bit more air through your nose, and slowly exhale out your nose as well. Continue doing this on your own, just noticing and coming to your breath, beginning to focus on it instead of wherever you had to focus before or have to focus your energy afterwards. Just focus on your breath and your body for the next hour as we move through a series of poses, getting deep into our muscles, maybe our minds, maybe something else. Just breathe and come back to this 3-part breath anytime that you lose it, anytime that you lose focus, anytime that you find yourself distracted during this class or throughout your next little bit of time. In today's practice, we will focus kind of on a series of poses that move us from the ground up and from our feet up. So our first pose will focus on sensation within our feet. And I want to take a moment and notice that tomorrow is Earth Day. And with that, I want to just remind you and ask you to remind yourself to just come back to re-grounding yourself into the earth at any time that you feel anxiety over the next week. And that could mean literally going outside and spending a few minutes just grounding yourself by walking around on the earth. Or it could mean coming back to your breath and feeling that energetic sense of re-grounding yourself. And so keep that thought in mind as we process through today's class, as you process through today's week, and maybe just notice tomorrow a little bit more the earth, nature, and spend some time just appreciating all that the natural world has to offer us when it comes to beauty, when it comes to ecosystems, when it comes to just cycling through all the things that we present it with in order for us to carry on. So on your next couple breaths, if you've gotten into a deep visualization, just come back to the room, come back to here, and come back to your breath. And we'll begin to stretch out our necks a little bit before we move into our first pose. So go ahead and on an inhale, drop your right ear towards your right shoulder if you're seated. And begin to decide which part of your neck you'd like to stretch a little bit more for the next minute or so. So you might want to look down at your shoulder, and that stretches out one part of your neck. Or you might want to look up towards the ceiling and notice how that sensation feels. But just allow your right ear to be dropped to your right shoulder. If you'd like to add a sensation to this, you can stretch out your left arm to the side, either directly out to the side or kind of down at an angle. And that will definitely increase the feel for this pose. Rotating your palm up towards the ceiling and down towards the mat, noticing any changes. And then look down at your shoulder, drop your chin to your chest, and bring your head down so that your chin is just dropped towards your chest, tracing across your front body, and the back of your neck is getting a stretch. Spend 3 breaths here. Full breaths, inhaling and exhaling. And then continue tracing your chin across your chest so that this time you can trace your left ear over towards your left shoulder. And looking down at it, you can decide if you'd like to look up, neutral, or down at your shoulder for the stretch along the right side of your neck. Adding in that arm extension, twisting your palm up and down. Just find a position that works well for you for about a minute to stretch out the right side of your neck with your left ear towards your left shoulder. And then on your next inhale breath, bring your head back up to neutral. Eyes open or eyes closed, just looking straight forward. And take a moment, take a breath to notice anything around you. Notice any distractions that might be pulling your attention away. And just be here for a moment. Take one more breath, but we'll inhale through our nose and exhale out our mouth, just to seal in this moment, and then we'll move into our first pose. So taking a big inhale breath, filling yourself up as much as you can. And then open mouth exhale. Let something go, soften, and release. And our first pose this morning will be toes pose. And so as promised, we will get right into sensation along the bottom of our feet. So go ahead and come onto your hands and knees just briefly, not necessarily in a full tabletop position, but come onto hands and knees and tuck your toes underneath your heels. And then set your seat back onto your heels. This is a lot of sensation, and so know that if you'd like to just slowly sit back and have your hands still planted on the mat, as long as you're feeling sensation along the bottom of your feet, you are in the pose. So go ahead and set yourself back onto your heels, making sure all 10 toes are tucked completely under you. Decide where you'd like your hands to be. You can place them on the mat in front of you, on your body, in a prayer position, on a pet if you have them nearby. But we'll just be here for 3 minutes and come back to that breath practice of allowing yourself to focus on your breath and just ride the wave of the sensation. Always returning to your breath if you lose your focus, knowing that this is a highly sensational pose. And so we are definitely diving right in the deep end this morning of Yin practice being a way to sit with discomfort, sit with sensation, and just use that practice to encourage you this week to sit with sensation off the mat in your life as well. Maybe you have someone in your life that is causing you a lot of intense emotions or intense experiences, and you're struggling with that. Just sit with it and ask yourself what you need. Taking 5 more breaths in this pose. Maybe you want to extend your hands forward on the mat if you've been sitting up, and add some wrist stretches in with facing your fingertips towards your knees and leaning back a little bit, or your palms down with your fingertips out to the side, swaying side to side a little bit, keeping your toes tucked so that you're staying in that posture, but adding in something additional to focus on to split your attention. And then if your palms aren't already out in front of you, placing them out on the mat, leaning forward, coming into that tabletop position, and slowly leaning forward so that you can untuck your toes, place the tops of your feet down on the mat. Notice that blood flow, sensation ending, sensation changing, and just pitter patter the top of your feet down to just let the blood get flowing again, wake them back up. And then we'll do 3 rounds of cat-cow just to wake up our spine before we move into butterfly forward fold. So inhaling, looking up to the sky, dropping your belly, lifting your head, and exhale, dropping your head, lifting your heart. Do that 2 more times on your own. And then to come into butterfly forward fold, we'll just come to a seated position, bringing our legs out in front of us and bringing the soles of our feet together into a butterfly position. And just place your fingers and your hands wrapped around your ankles and just flap your wings for just a moment. And then we'll start with our left leg tucked in. This will be one-legged. So we'll start with our left leg tucked in. Straighten your right leg out at about a 45-degree angle. You can straighten it out in front of you if you prefer, but I'll be guiding us at a 45-degree angle. And then take an inhale breath, sit up tall, feel the full length of your spine from your seat and your roots all the way up to the crown of your head. And then you can do this in one of 2 ways. You can either fold directly forward so that you're just forwarding over kind of the center line of your body, or you can take a twist so that your chest and upper body are twisted over your right leg and begin to fold forward. So inhaling, sitting up tall, and exhale, either folding directly forward over the center line of your body or twisting and folding over your right leg. And try and fold forward as far as you can with a straight back first. And then when you can't fold any farther, just round your back, curl yourself in, drop your head between your arms, and just drape yourself forward. And this should definitely wake up and add sensation to your inner thigh. You'll probably notice it along the back side of your body as well. But wherever you are, make sure that you can drop your head and let it relax. Maybe you want to place a block to catch your forehead, or maybe having your hands out is just enough. Make any adjustments that you need, and then find the pose that you'll be in for the next few minutes on this side. Coming back to your breath if you lose focus or find yourself distracted. On an exhale breath, see where you can deepen or soften or release a place of holding in your body. Maybe that's letting your head go a little bit more, or maybe you're moving deeper into this fold. Just got a couple more breaths here. And on your next breath, planting your palms back down, pressing them into the mat, and then slowly drawing yourself back up, returning your spine to that upright position, slowly and safely, with your eyes open or closed. Your head comes up last. And when you reach the top, go ahead and inhale and bring your shoulders up to your ears and just curl them back, drop them down. Feel the length of your spine. Bring both feet back in together into butterfly, flapping your wings a little bit more before we shift to the other side. And then going ahead and bringing your right foot in, draping your left foot out to the side at about a 45-degree angle. Taking an inhale breath and deciding if you'd like to fold forward again over the center line or twisting your body and folding over your left knee. Letting that exhale go. And then on your next inhale breath, inhale, lengthen your spine up towards the ceiling, up towards the sky. And then exhale, just fold yourself forward, either over the center line or over your left knee with your chest twisted. Remembering in all postures, but especially in two-sided postures, each side is different. Your body looks the same on both sides sometimes, but it doesn't feel the same internally. We use things differently. We use things more or less. We sit, we walk, we stand, we drive. We exist in positions that don't use our body symmetrically. And so don't expect your body to do the same thing on both sides. Use your breath to guide it where you'd like to go. And use your breath to be okay with where it is going. You have your breath here, now, today, and it will be there with you. It has been there, may have changed over time. But a deep breath is a deep breath, even if it's deeper one day than the other. So making adjustments as you need and just settle in here. This one-legged butterfly forward fold with our left leg extended. And returning to your breath, taking 3 more breaths here on this side. Where can you soften? Where can you let something release? And then on your next inhale breath, planting your palms back down, pressing them into the ground and the floor and the earth and the mat. Slowly walking yourself back up, getting back to that upright spine. Again, inhale, lift your shoulders up, curl them back. Do that a few more times if you need to. And then just return to a comfortable seat, cross-legged. Coming back to your breath, back to your body. And the next pose that we'll move into is another seated position that's two-sided. And then we'll move on to our backs. And this is going to be square pose. And so there's a couple options for this. You can take a very sensational square pose, or you can take just a seated forward fold with your legs in. To take in a fully sensational square pose, we'll just bring, if your legs are cross-legged, we'll start with our right leg on top. So we'll flex our right foot and bring our right foot on top of our left knee, and then drop our right knee down so that it's either dangling or resting on top of our left foot, so that we are kind of building somewhat of a square-ish between this line of our shins being nearly parallel, our feet being flexed. And you should, if you're in this position, begin to feel this in your right hip. And this is a very intense position already. To add on to this, we are having the option of a forward fold. And so that can either be just placing your hands out in front of you and walking them forward in any amount that you can and would like to, or you can twist again so that your chest is facing over that right foot and begin to drape your body over your right foot. I don't have much space to fold forward at all in this posture. It's quite an intense hip opener for me and something I'm working on. And so I like to just kind of have my hands on either side of my body and just lean forward a little bit. That gets me plenty of sensation in my right hip and allows me to feel into this position. And so wherever you are, just feel into your hips. Notice anywhere else in your body that has sensation coming up, and just allow yourself to tilt or fold a little bit forward, or maybe a lot forward, in this square position with our right leg stacked on top of our left. Let your head drop if that feels comfortable for you as well. We hold our heads up all day. We don't need to hold them up to start our day. We can let them be. Using your exhales to let something soften and release and allow you to go somewhere else in the pose. Taking just 3 more breaths here, just riding that wave before we go to the other side. And then on an inhale breath, walk yourself back up to an upright spine. Uncross your legs and just briefly bring your soles of your feet to the ground. Lean back a little bit and just windshield wiper your legs side to side, letting things reset, letting your legs be out in a different way, letting your lower back adjust. And then we'll come into the other side. This time our right leg will be on the bottom, and we will flex our feet, bring our left foot on top of our knee. It's okay if there's space between your right foot on the ground and your left knee kind of hanging in the air. You're always welcome to add a block or any type of prop between them if that feels comfortable for you and adds or creates more of what you're looking for. And then decide if you are going to fold directly forward or tilt your upper body over your left foot. Take an inhale breath. And then begin to fold or tilt. And when you feel like you've tilted and folded enough, just drop your head down. This is our last seated position this morning, so if you are looking forward to something else, know that that's coming after this. Returning to your breath, seeing where you can maybe tilt a little bit more or fold a little bit more to lengthen the stretch in your back. And as you inhale, coming back to that 3-part breath, this time imagining that you're inhaling into your upper back and then into your lower back. So the same thing just on the back side of our body as we are curled in, folding forward, expanding our upper back, lengthening our lower back. And then on an exhale, letting something soften so that you can ride this sensation and maybe stretch out some tense places in your body. Just 2 more breaths on this side. Last one, inhaling. And exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Plant your hands back on the ground and slowly walk yourself back up to an upright spine. Uncrossing your legs and just bringing the soles of your feet back to the ground. Trying some more of those windshield wipers. Letting your hips reset, letting everything just reset. And we're going to move into fish pose next as we move up our body. And so coming into a position so that you can still have your feet planted. If you have blocks or props that you have available to you, you'll want 2 blocks or maybe a bolster behind you. And set those up so that they are sideways. One will be for your chest, one will be for your head, or for your upper back rather. And from a seated position with your knees pointed up to the ceiling, go ahead and place your hands on either side of your body. Take an inhale breath, look up to the sky. Maybe drop your head behind you so that open up the front side of your neck. And then on an exhale breath, begin to drape yourself back so that the first block will come to catch your shoulder blades or be just at your shoulder blades. You can adjust the heights of these as well. This is definitely a huge chest opener and heart opener as well. And then continuing to lie back more, the second block will catch your head. And you can adjust again as you need to, making sure that this doesn't feel painful ever. Just definitely some sensation And you're welcome to keep your feet planted with your knees up to the ceiling, or if you'd like to stretch out your legs long or come into butterfly legs, either of those can work well. And with your arms, you can extend them out to the side for the maximum chest stretch with your wings expanded fully. Or you can adjust so that your hands are on your body, down at your sides, or even up over your head. Or wherever you are, make some adjustments and decide where you'd like to be for the next few minutes. And then just settle in and allow an inhale breath this time to come in through your nose, into your chest. That's definitely feeling some stretch across your upper back. And then maybe you can fill up your belly as well. And then take a couple inhales through your nose and exhales through your mouth to just allow the props that are underneath you to hold and support your body as you soften into them and allow them to create a sense of opening. And then returning to just inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Keeping your eyes closed if that's comfortable for you to focus inward. And just be with this heart opening position. And always reminding yourself that if you have emotional sensation arise as well as physical sensation during these yin practices, during these classes, and during any time in your life, that's okay. You can breathe through that emotion. You don't need to stuff it away. You don't need to hide it away. You might need to say, not right now, I'll journal after class, but always being willing to work through whatever it is that arises so that it doesn't get stuck. Yin practices force us to sit with physical sensation, but oftentimes physical sensation is linked to emotional memory, emotional experience. And so if you ever find yourself feeling a wave of emotion, feeling an urge to cry, those are often and are perfect ways to release as well. And so do what works for you and know that that's normal, expected, and that's the way our bodies work. Sometimes when we unlock something through a physical posture, it unlocks something emotional as well. Just taking another breath here. And on an exhale breath, go ahead and adjust your body so that you can press your elbows down into the mat. Inhale and tuck your chin to your chest, and then begin to press more into the mat with your elbows, coming up to your forearms, coming up to your palms, and coming out of this position so that you can bring the props that were underneath you out to the side, and just lie yourself down back again on your back. Maybe putting your feet to the edges of your mat and letting your knees knock in. Take 5 intentional breaths here in that 3-part manner, placing your hands maybe on your belly and your heart to feel into breathing into each palm, filling yourself up, and letting yourself soften into the mat for just a moment before we move into bridge pose. And then coming back, adjusting so that your feet are hips width distance apart, planted on the mat with your knees up towards the ceiling. We're just going to spend a couple minutes, not as long as the other poses in bridge pose. And so what you'll do, if you have that block nearby, you'll use it for this. Inhale, press your feet into the mat, lift your hips up so that you can slide that block underneath your sacrum, and allow your hips to come back down onto it, adjusting it as you need to. And feeling your hips rising up towards the sky. Notice how this feels in your body. Notice how this adjusts things, lets something soften. And then just breathe here in this posture. If you'd like to turn this into waterfall pose, you're welcome to either grip onto the block or prop underneath you, or just have your hands on your body. And lift your feet up off of the mat, straighten your heels, your feet up towards the ceiling, coming into legs up the wall in some sense without being at the wall. Or of course, you're welcome to just stay here in this bridge pose. Maybe you want to try bringing one knee in or the other, or extending one leg out long. Just breathing, letting your hips be higher than your heart. Just one more minute here in bridge pose as a transition. And then on an inhale breath, press your feet into the mat. Lift your hips up more so that you can bring that prop out from underneath you. And let them come back down to the mat. Take a moment to reset. Feel the full length of your spine on the mat. And then inhale, curl your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Rock side to side if you would like to. And then in your own way, wiggle around, roll to one side, and come into a tabletop position. And tabletop with your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Flow through 2 cat-cows on your own. And then we're going to move into Pigeon Pose. And so from this tabletop position, go ahead and we'll start with our left leg forward. So take an inhale breath and lift up your left knee, bring it towards your left wrist. Tuck your back right toes and shift your right leg back so that it can straighten out and lay flat along your mat. And some folks like to have their left shin parallel to the front of their mat because that's the way that their hips open up. Know that that's not necessarily the full expression of Pigeon Pose. That's just some people's body's way of Pigeon Pose. So if your sole of your foot is tucked in towards your hip, that's okay. The purpose of this pose is to get deep into our hips, left and right, in very different ways. And so take an inhale breath here with your knee forward, ankle curled in, right leg extended back. Notice where you feel sensation. And then on an exhale breath, go ahead and drape your upper body down over your front leg. You might want to have a prop if you would like to catch your forehead, if that's comfortable for you, or something that you need. Or you can just come down onto forearms in somewhat of a sphinx-like position. And let your head drop. Let yourself feel the stretches in your hips, the compression in your hips. And come back to that breath, inhaling through your nose, into your chest or upper back, and into your belly or lower back. Expanding, taking in as much air as you need, as much oxygen as you need, and letting it cleanse your body from the inside out. And then exhale, let something soften. Let yourself maybe go a little bit deeper into the sensation and just be with it. hip openers of any kind can definitely be emotional, and we've been doing a lot of them today. So be gentle with yourself. You may notice that emotions pop up over the next day or so. That's normal. Doing some pretty deep stretching this morning. Coming back to your breath. Taking a few more on this side. And then pressing your palms into the mat. Coming back up. We're going to use child's pose as our transition pose between each side. So tuck your back toes under, bring your knee in just a little bit. Press your palms into the mat, bring your left knee back underneath your hip. Windshield wiper side to side. And then either knees together or knees apart. Go ahead and just sink your heels back towards your hips, arms stretched out in front of you. Coming into child's pose, drop your head between your arms. Just be here for a minute before we move to the other side. And just press your forehead into the mat and allow that to release any tension in your face, any tension in your brow line. Maybe rock your head side to side. And just be held, be supported, and just be here. And then extending your arms out again in front of you. Pressing palms into the mat, inhaling, coming back up to tabletop. Flowing through a cat-cow if you need it, but we'll just move right into the other side. So this time we'll move our left leg back, bring our right leg forward with our right knee moving towards our right wrist. Tucking that toe in the back so we can stretch out that left leg behind you. Adding any props that you need under your hip, pressing your palms into the mat, taking an inhale breath. And then exhale, drape yourself forward over your left or over your right knee, right leg that's forward this time. In pigeon pose on this side. On your next exhale, let yourself soften a little bit farther. Let your head dangle or be resting on a prop or your palms or the mat. And just be in this pose on this side. Only got one more posture after this before Shavasana. Listening to your breath. Where can an inhale breath expand your upper back? Where can you fill up, take up space? And where can an exhale breath let you soften a little bit farther? Pressing into the mat with your palms on your next inhale breath, bringing your upper body up a little bit, tucking that back toe, and coming back to pigeon or child's pose on this side. So pressing into the mat, bringing your knee back behind you, briefly into that tabletop position, and then sinking your hips back towards your heels, hands outstretched in front of you. Child's pose on this side, knees together or knees apart. Just allow your upper body to drape over your legs. Come into this folded position with your hips back. And just let your spine be long as it's curled in. Let your forehead be resting on the mat. And take an inhale breath. Stretch your arms back out if you had them adjusted in any way. Come up to tabletop position. And we're just going to move on to our backs for our final position, which will just be a laying spinal twist before Shavasana. So adjust in any way that you need, take anything you need on the way, but just come back into that upright position. Lying down, curling your knees into your chest for just a moment, rock side to side. And then press your feet into the mat, knees up to the ceiling. You can take a supine twist in one of a couple different ways. I'll be guiding us through with eagle legs, but you're also welcome to just have your knees dropped to one side. And so to come into this position with eagle legs, we'll drop our knees to the left first, but we'll inhale and lift up our right leg, cross it over our left, press into the mat so that we can shift our hips a little bit to the right to make some space. And then drop your knees down over to the left side of your mat, trying to keep both shoulders planted on the mat with your chest pointed up towards the ceiling as best as you can. You should feel the sensation in your lower back, mid back, and maybe even upper back as well. You can always add something to catch your knees if they are dangling in the air and that's feeling like gripping. You want to be able to not necessarily relax in a restorative way, but release and be held in these postures. So if you need to add anything at any point ever to allow yourself to be held so that you can fully let your muscles soften, please do. Inhaling again, seeing if you can feel some length along the right side of your body. Maybe you notice a different type of opening along your right hip or along your right back, your lower back, upper back, and across your IT band even. Just spend about another minute on this side. Knees dropped to the left, right side body exposed. And then uncrossing your legs if you have them crossed, so sleeping them both dropped to the left. And on your next breath, bring your knees back up to center, point it up towards the ceiling, adjust your hips back into the middle if you had them shifted. Take a breath, take a moment, and then inhale and cross your left leg over your right this time. Press that right foot into the mat, shift your hips a little bit to the left, and then drop your knees over to the right-hand side. Letting anything snap, crackle, or pop in your back as you come into this twist. Trying to keep your chest pointed up towards the ceiling. And taking another breath here, uncrossing your legs if you have them crossed, just letting them be stacked straight to the right side. And then coming back up, activating your core, bringing your knees pointed back up to the ceiling, shifting your hips back to the middle. Curl your knees into your chest for just a moment, rock side to side. Feel anything that feels different than it did an hour ago. And then just extend your legs out in front of you. Lie yourself flat down on the mat and come into Shavasana. Taking a couple deep breaths, filling yourself fully up, maybe stretching your arms out to the side or above your head to feel the full length of your body lying here on this mat. For the next 2 minutes, just allow everything that we moved through in the last hour to just integrate, settle in, and the effects of it to take hold. And as I said, yin postures, especially hip openers, can really stir up and activate a lot of emotional sensation as well. So if you notice that over the next few hours, moments, or days, I encourage you to sit with that, maybe journal about it if that's in your practice, and just be with it, knowing that our ability to sit with physical sensation can increase our ability to sit with and process through emotional sensation so that it doesn't get trapped, it doesn't get stuck. If we think of our emotions as somewhat of a soda bottle, when we have a lot of them and they get shaken up, it takes just a little bit of extra effort to unscrew that lid slowly and mindfully so that we don't accidentally allow that to explode all over everything and everyone, including ourselves around us. So be gentle with yourself and take care of yourself. And just rest here for another minute. Not asking your body to do or be in any type of way. Just rest. And then coming back to your body, maybe windshield wipering your ankles, wiggling your fingers. In your own way, roll over to one side, spend a breath there, and then find yourself in a comfortable seat, and we'll do a closing breath together. Once you found yourself in a seat, eyes open or closed, bring your hands somewhere that's comfortable on your body. Maybe that's palms up or palms down on your knees. Maybe it's hands together at heart center or one hand stacked on top of each other. Wherever you are, close your eyes and take a moment to think of something that you enjoyed about the last hour. And thank yourself for making time and space to do that and give that to yourself, because no one got you here except you. No one kept you here except you. And your breath will be with you throughout the day, throughout the moments in time that you don't know that you'll make it through. It's there. So taking one more together, taking an inhale through our nose, filling up our chest and our belly, and then letting that exhale go out your mouth. Thanks for taking time to practice this morning for yourself and with me. Have a great day.